day 100, and it's the 5th anniversary of the Mapleton tornado, aka my first ever tornado, the EF3. I am headed to the last, at least the last that I know of, piece of debris that was left exactly the way it was that night, that day. It's a piece of steel embedded in a pole, and I am going to go film it and touch it for everybody to see. There it is. Still there 5 years later. Pretty amazing the 165 mile an hour wind can do. 5-year anniversary happens in about 30 minutes. Happened about 7:16. It's about 6:40. Okay, so it's like 30 minutes away. Anyways, I am going to watch my original footage that I shot in 2011 on April 9th and go through what I don't know, the excitement I felt. Just point out a bunch of stuff, I guess. That's when the power went out.
Power out!
And I absolutely hate that I said that, because I hate to ruin ambience. And at this point, I didn't really know where the tornado was, because I'd never seen one in person before, but I had a good idea that it was in this direction, so I just kept pointing in that direction. This tree, by the way, is still there, and has the debris in it still, which I have pieces of that fell a year later, and then another year later, more of it fell, so I bagged it up and tagged it. I bagged it and tagged it. And up here, you can kind of see a hole in the sky, which I thought was freaking awesome. I got it in the footage, too. And it just shows how massive the circulation was within, like, the center of a tornado that hadn't even formed yet. Or at least, it hadn't picked up debris, but you can see right here where it kind of starts to do that. Pretty sure this video ends in a couple of seconds, and then we'll go to the next one. You can start to hear the wind, and you can start to see it getting darker. But at this point, I still wasn't convinced there was a tornado, because I wasn't lucky when it came to that kind of stuff. You can really see it getting, like, grayer, though. That's pretty cool. And that's the siren, which I've only heard twice living in this city. Next video. Okay, now this is where you can start to see a little more white core to it, and then this dark stuff, which I'm assuming is the sewage, or the filthy river, or the burn pile, or something got in here that really turned it black really, really quick. And before this, about maybe 4 or 5 minutes before this was shot, maybe like 10, it was about 7 or so, 7:10. There was really golf ball size hail, and that alone made my day, because it was exciting to see hail that big for only like third time in my life, which is funny considering I'm such a storm chase nut. And that's right there, that moment it turned black. I'm not sure what that was, but I'm guessing it was sewage or the burn pile. I had to run out there. I was like, you gotta run, Johnny. I have no idea if this is a tornado or not. I was still in shock. I was like, holy crap, is this or is this not?
Holy flippin' shit, look at that.
I hate that I said that.
My first tornado, baby.
Such an annoying voice. And that truck, I don't know if you saw that white truck there. I have no idea who that was, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't a storm chaser, because they went right for the store like a bunch of chickens. And the 22-year-old or something, sitting right there.
Shut up!
Ugh. Over-exaggerating mother. Super annoying. Okay, enough of that crap. They're always ruining my shots. They always think I'm gonna die or something, or... That doesn't really bother me. I'm not afraid of weather or anything. At this angle, you can see that ring in the sky really good, which is the only reason I did this. People think I was sucked up by it or something. I turned the camera on my angle like that, so you could get the multiple vortices and see the cone in the sky, the ring, at the very top of it, and the edges and everything. I just do that to get because I was so close to it, and this camera that I'm using right now to film this.
Like a train, like they say.
It doesn't sound like a train at all. It sounds like sucking wind. Don't let those people on TV fool you. It doesn't sound like a train. You're not missing much. When the siren sounds more like a train than the tornado did. Okay. At this point, it's about 1/4 to 1/2 mile wide, and I think it got to 3/4 of a mile if you count the vortices. But
this is incredible.
I don't know.
22 years waiting.
I was such a goof. I have since then learned to...
It doesn't get better than this.
I have since then learned not to talk when I shoot footage like this, because it just ruins the moment. You really gotta watch this on a big screen TV to get the... And this is where the wind picked in. It was so cool. I got so much debris in my teeth. Ugh. The garbage can being sucked in was pretty awesome. At this point, I wasn't grabbing onto the pole yet, I don't think. But there goes the power out. Again. It gets really loud. It's so cool. At one point, you can actually see garbage dragged... the garbage can getting dragged across the yard, and the garbage being just ripped out of it, and then the garbage can going. It was pretty cool. You can see a lot of awesome stuff in this footage. Oh, my battery's going dead. I'm going to pause this real quick. Okay, new batteries. On we go. I'm going to try and point out stuff that's not as clear to see, because the footage was only like 480 pixels, which sucks. Okay. I've edited this so many times, like in slow motion, and it's amazing how many things you can actually see if you're really paying attention. There's one of the other vortices. It's pretty cool. That's what caused the brick walls and cinder blocks and everything to collapse. There goes the garbage can. That's pretty cool. Just sliding right along there. Annoying mom in the background. She couldn't just go to the basement and let me enjoy my first tornado. There's a branch, a significant branch that fell in the front yard. But that always happens. Winds. There's the wind ripping. Really listen to it. And I ran back to the pool, and that right there, I think, was a storm chaser running away from it to get better footage, which I saw on the internet later on, so I know that's probably... Oh, there goes a roof. Peeled Valley Craft completely. It just peeled the siding off. It didn't destroy it, though. It just peeled the siding off. There goes the garbage can, all the garbage. There goes another roof. There goes the roof toppling over. At this point, I was just struggling to hold on to that damn pole. And there goes my face to prove it to my footage. Suck it, OPRA. And KTEV, who said it was an old woman with a phone, by the way. It was not an old woman with a phone. It was me, the bastards. Anyways, I'm pretty sure you can see either the car wash roof or one of the grain bins blowing somewhere later on after this. But that almost took my head off. I'll admit that. That's landing... It landed right in the yard. I didn't get footage of it today because I don't know who owns that house now. So I didn't want to go onto their property and be like, oh, I'm going to film this pole 5 years later. It's still there, though. And there's the debris that's still there today. Just plastic insulation from under a roof, I think. At this point, I think I was in the center of it because it was cloudy all around and the suction was really insane. It was so exciting, I wasn't scared one freaking bit. I was just so happy that my camera was not dying like it did when I was recording this 5th anniversary video of it. It moved fast. I would say it was moving about 50 to 60 miles an hour over the town. this is when I'm still
Blew a
not...
hole right in our flippin' wall.
It was not a wall that had a hole. That thing right there weighs almost like 80 pounds, and it was on top of bricks, so it's kind of cool that it toppled that far. And there it is, leaving town. So wide you can't tell where it begins or where it ends. It tipped over the swing set. The lightning was amazing on the back side of this, too. I think I have some of the footage of the lightning up here. I looked straight up at it again. There it is. And there's amazing lightning right there. And the debris was still flying way up there, too. Yes, all in all, it was pretty exciting. Regardless of people thinking I was dead or not, that wasn't going through my mind. It never does. It doesn't matter. That's what you do when you storm chase, you know? That's what you do when you have a passion. You just don't have to... You just can't give a fuck. You have to just go out there and do it and not really care. And I am since then certified to be a storm spotter, so, you know, they're gonna have to just deal with that. I was able to find the hail footage, and there's something really interesting I wanted to point out here. Notice the size of the hail is about golf ball, but right there, can you see that stick in the shape of a pitchfork? Or whatever it's called? Do you see it? Like the devil's, I don't know what you call it, trellis or whatever? I don't know what it's called, but you see it? That is so creepy. And at this point, I'm looking all over the sky. It's like, where is this thing? And for a second, I thought that cloud up there was it. But look at the size of the hail. And then it started to form. This is the aftermath. That's right down the street from where I lived. That building's no longer there. These are giant cinder blocks that made up this car garage. The car wash thing, it completely smashed this truck inside of it. I checked it, there was no one in there. It was completely smashed. This is where we were walking with the neighbors across that lived across the street. That's Baumgar's. This is about around 7:40, 8 o'clock. That whole thing right there, that's brick building completely collapsed on the road. Which has since then been rebuilt, obviously. Main Street looked like a Christmas tree threw up because there was lights everywhere. I decided to walk up Main Street, and it was a complete mob at the center, or intersection, whatever. Let's fast forward through it, because I think... This school was creepy. Do you see the lights flickering? That was one of the coolest shots I ever got, because it was so spooky. They were literally just flickering off and on, and it was like it was haunted or something. So cool. And so quiet, too. There was no one next to the school at the time I was filming this. It was like watching lightning. And I actually entered a house thinking there was somebody in there, but there wasn't. And it's funny because I didn't know what house it was, but when I saw a portrait in there, it was someone that went to school with my sister. So it was kind of weird that I would randomly just walk into a house to try and save somebody that I actually did know, but didn't know that was where they lived or anything. I mean, the hamburger was still sitting on the table, and there was insulation everywhere. It was insane. I think after that, I was on Main Street, but I didn't film that part. At this point, I was showing my footage to a storm chaser, and I gave him my analysis as a first-timer and said it was an EF3, which we all know now, 5 years later, obviously. It was classified as an EF3, which means even as the first-timer, I knew exactly what it was. That was a flagpole bent completely down to the ground. Flat. Okay. Now the morning after should be, the next day should be right about here. And this is where that building was collapsed, completely across the street. I loved that Coke machine. Always had the best vanilla Coke. Ice cold. Destroyed. That was one of the military helicopters, I think. And these are just a bunch of images I got. That was the Mapleton sign. That was at the ball field. And that was a cement factory. That was pretty neat how it ripped the whole site off and didn't do anything else. Completely flipped that over, which I thought was insane. Stripped all the trees in that area. Okay. That was cool too. Let's back that up. 'Cause that was the first time I had ever seen that outside of a movie. Davis Motors, the board went right through it. And there was another building by the park that had one right through the roof of a house, but the house was not damaged. It just had a board completely launched through the roof, which was really insane.